So we're live, Dennis.
Yes.
That's awesome. I've actually prepared a joke to make this more fun to start with.
Oh God.
Yeah. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Your unpainted pile of grey plastic.
Your unpainted pile of grey plastic. Who?
Yeah, so at this point I should have a good punchline, and I didn't get that far. But I thought it was a great opening for a joke. And
Yeah.
you could say that a pile of shame is a joke also.
I mean, it's definitely taller than I am, so it would be very intimidating.
Yeah, you will. That will be the death of you. You will be buried under an avalanche of grey plastic.
Honestly, that would be possible.
Yeah. I was going to say we're out of track already, but this is sort of on point because we're discussing March of Armies. And March of Armies aims to get rid of this pile of grey plastic, right? But let's be a bit more formal and actually try to explain what is March of Armies, Dennis.
So, we enjoy painting armies, but it's difficult to find motivation. And I would say this is a motivational event to pick a set of miniatures that you want to paint, divide it up with a plan, and then we paint those miniatures together with all the other people who set up a plan, and we check in every 2 weeks to see how we are progressing. And at the end, you should have a really cool army that can march.
And the event ends in March. That's that's the best part of it.
Yeah, so we start December 1st, and we end March 31st, and it's a great punny name.
Yeah. Is there a winner in this event?
You, when you finish painting all those miniatures.
Yes, everyone that's participate and finish their goals is a winner.
Exactly.
And I guess there's looking at the track records, there will be a few losers that will drop out halfway through. But even if you finish something, that's I think that counts as a win, right?
Every painted miniature is a win in my book. So
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, definitely. Only winners here.
Yeah. So is this the first time you participate in March of Armies, Dennis?
So I started my first March of Armies in 2021, which I believe also was the first March of Armies.
Yes, it was.
I was lucky enough to join the server just as it started. And I think I was like a week late in signing up, but that didn't seem to be a problem. And I had a lot of fun. Let me pull up some pictures. There we go.
Oh, I remember these.
I started in 2021 by painting Necrons, and I can tell you painting 40 identical Necron warriors is mind-numbingly painful. So I am grateful for all the mental support I got during this challenge.
Yeah, that's but that's sort of the gist of it. Like when painting an army, you just sometimes have these hurdles to get through. Like if you're gonna play with something or just have this really nice looking force, then you need to paint those 40 warriors. And
yeah, I also learned a lot about batch painting, and I figured out that my ideal batch is 5 miniatures.
Yep.
So I enjoy doing a batch of 5 troops, and then painting 1 hero or vehicle or more unique sculpt, and then going back to 5 warriors or
breaking
5
it up a
troops.
bit. But that's excellent when we do these events like a March of Armies. If you have this list set up that you know you're going to do these 40 warriors, and you have these more fun pieces to intercept them with.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and let me go on to the next picture. There we go.
Oh, these are familiar.
So I believe this is your 2021 March of Armies.
Yes, one of them actually, because I was mad enough to start with 2 entries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Matteo said he was going to do 2, and of course then I also needed to do 2. So these are the Slave to Darkness from Age of Sigmar. And it's basically a start collecting box and a big warrior of Chaos Marauders, and then a few extra troops, few special blocks. There's a spawn at the back and this Minotaur-looking thing, and a sorcerer converted from a Stormcast Eternal.
Oh yeah, I see. A guy in the back there.
So the block on the right side, the Marauders, if I remember correctly, I did them pretty much in one go. But Slaves to Darkness is an excellent example of like how it can be a bit more fun and interesting to paint an army. Because first of all, it's so many different unit types to choose from. Like, you have, in this force, we see both infantry and the cavalry and monsters and characters. But it's also, like, because it's chaos, you're pretty much free with the color schemes and the different types of paint techniques. It doesn't need to match very well. I think it's a bit of a strong point or a plus if it's more varied and doesn't look too uniform. And I think people are sometimes worried that their force will not look uniform enough. But I find it like if the same person is painting the force, it will look uniform because everyone has their unique painting style, and that will tie it all together.
Yeah, my trick is always to pick one color, and that's kind of like the theme color.
Yeah.
And any other color you can just mess around with. And I usually go through my entire range of metallics while I'm painting an army just because I enjoy, I wonder what this color looks like. Maybe that color's better.
Yeah, but that's a really good way also to keep your motivation up, just to experiment a bit and don't be too afraid if it doesn't look too uniform. Even if it's like an Space Marine army or an Astra Militarum from the 40k universe where it's everything is uniform, like, because even in real life, military uniforms, they will vary. Some will be more bleached by the sun and some will be more dirty and etc. and different camouflages. It never looks uniform in real life
absolutely.
either.
And I believe we did this March of Armies for 6 months.
Yes.
So this started October 1st, September 1st.
I have no idea.
And it ran all the way until March, and we got a lot of feedback that this event was a little too big. So nowadays it's December 1st to March 31st.
Yeah, so this first year it was suggested 1,000 point and half a year. So the following year we made half the size of the forces, so recommendation of 500 points and going for 4 months instead. So slightly more time in total. But the most important thing is to like the shorter duration makes it easier to keep the motivation up, and
it means that less people drop off halfway.
Yeah.
And
so that's the unfortunate truth that it's hard to paint armies. That's why we need to have these motivation events.
And also life happens, as will be revealed in the future. Spoilers!
Yes. Spoiler alert.
So then we have a couple of our top picks of 2021. And this one is just so striking with the red bases and the white.
Yeah, it's a great contrast, and it's really something to think about when you're designing your color scheme. To make sure that you have a contrast between both the miniature and the base itself. I painted a few Blood Angels a few weeks ago with this striking red color. But then for the basing, for some reason, I decided to do them in like this red ochre with the dry pigments.
Yeah.
And I think it looked awesome at first, I thought, like under my super bright painting light. But then once I put them up on my display shelf, the contrast was way too low. So the brown bases were blending in with the red armor.
Yeah, red and brown would be in the same kind of spectrum.
Yeah, so big mistake. Not doing that again. But these by Clone Man John, they are totally opposite. They are so
So
nice.
The pigment powder stands out, and he also put it on like the wheels and the feet and everything.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, and I think something to mention here is that we see a lot of different kind of troops in this army. We have mostly infantry, but then we have the bikes and then the big dreadnought. And that really makes the entire force look much more interesting because you have this variation in different kinds of troopers.
Yeah. Yeah, and also the clustering and just grabbing a big black sheet really leads to a nice photograph as well.
Yeah, it's a really nice presentation.
Yeah.
And that's it's super hard to take photos, nice photos of armies.
Yeah,
so that's
definitely true.
Yeah.
And then this one was painted by Gazimov. And
Oh yeah.
just the sheer detail on some of these models, like he's to be doing battle damage and all these custom bases, just blew me away when I saw it.
Yeah, it's I'm super hyped actually to do a Tau army sometime, just inspired by this force. I really think the more military looking and more natural style of painting lends so well to Tau. And these opportunities to do battle damage and scratching, and
yeah, I've been
just awesome.
been poking our own tank lord a lot, and I think very soon he shall be painting one of the Tau tanks. In I think he was saying German camo, but definitely some sort of World War II camouflage.
Yeah, I'm very interested in to see what it would look like in actual painted like a scale model. I think it will work super well.
And I believe Gazimov was planning to do some Coward Run Overlords for this March of Armies, so I'm excited to see what he makes of that as well.
Yeah, that will look super good.
And then the third pick for 2021 was by Luft, who painted... Oh, dang! That's not what I wanted to do. Anyway, who painted some really cool... what are they called? Sylvaneth nowadays?
Yeah, let's call them...
Wood elves?
I'm
old.
Yeah. These are dryads, wood elf dryads, and some treemen. No, but let's try to remember that they are Sylvaneth these days.
Yeah, and look at the contrast on those shields, and even though it's kind of busy, the green contrasting with the pink really makes them still contrast and stand out.
Yeah, it's a very unusual color scheme, but I think it works super well. Because it's if everything would just be painted brown and in green, it would probably be as you imagine Tree Spirits to look like, but it would be a very dull force to look at. So this is way more interesting, and I think especially the blues and the magenta and the pinks, they work super nice together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that brings us to a close for 2021. So we will go to 2022.
Yeah, and just a brief mention that obviously there were much more entries in 2021, and they were all super great, but we're not going to talk.
We can't go through all of
too
them.
Many hours.
See you in 4 hours, everybody.
Yeah, maybe next episode.
So then 2022 rolled around, and I decided to paint up my Beasts of Chaos. And I was so sick and tired of painting up troops that there is not a single set of troops in this army.
Yeah, that's a different way to tackle the Necron Warrior problem.
I went for 10 Centaurs and 6 Dragon Ogres. A Chimera and a Beast Lord and a Dragon Ogre Shaman. Shaggoth.
Yeah.
Sorry. So
but it's a really nice photograph here with the black background.
Yeah,
like
I was just starting to get into photography in 2022, trying to figure out how I could photograph my miniatures better. So I had the black background, but I didn't have the knowledge yet on how to make everything in focus. But it really helps the white snow pop.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting that even if it's no like infantry or regular cavalry, I think it still looks very much like an army.
Mm-hmm.
So with the grouping and the various size of units, you still have this army-looking force, and they're still, even if it's lots of different kinds of troopers, they are very coherent with all the matching bases and the uniform color scheme.
Yeah. So, fun fact: the bases are not quite as uniform as you think, because I used 3 different types of snow powder for them.
Yeah.
2 different kinds of tufts. The only thing I consistently did was the turquoise and the Space Wolf Gray flesh tone, and all the other stuff is just completely different from model to model.
Yeah. Did you run out of supplies, or was it an intentional experimentation?
Yeah, just experimentation. I bought a new set of tufts and I bought new paints because it's a 4-month challenge. We all buy hobby stuff in December, right?
It happens.
And you're painting this and you want to try it out, so you might as well.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I was very pleased with this force, and the irony was that I did paint a 1,000-point army, or at least it was 1,000 points when I started, and then
Yeah.
I think December 6th or something, a new rules update dropped from Games Workshop, and suddenly it was only an 840-point army.
Oh.
I was like, no! How dare you!
Yeah. But you're not playing much, are you?
I don't play, no, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but it's just the thought
I
behind it.
did spend time army building, so I felt very short changed by Games Workshop.
Yeah. I don't play either, but I think it's really fun to build armies and trying to find this how much you can fit in a certain size and get this variation between units. That's something that I think is fun to think about.
Yeah, for sure. And then you went full troops on this one.
Yeah, I went the opposite direction. So these are actually 80 skeleton warriors. And I think I painted them in 2 batches of 40 each. But it was actually super quick because I bought them secondhand and they were primed in bone color already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a super simple paint job with just picking out the reds and the blacks first, and then like an oil wash, and then a few details picked out. It was a video by Marco Frisoni that he painted some, I think it was Cursed City skeletons, and I took inspiration from that.
Yeah.
With the dark green shields and the red livery. But this was quite a quick project, even if it's actually 80 infantry. But since just 2 batches, not too much spent on them actually.
I mean, that's impressive.
That Lamia vampire in the middle, that was actually a gift from you. So
yeah, I was like, I
vaguely
remember sending you some vampires. Wasn't that in there?
Yeah, that was it was 4 of them, and she has a mounted friend also, and then there were two von Karsten vampires, I think.
I was just tidying up the horde. Ironically, it has expanded manifold since then.
Never could imagine that would happen. I actually have a new vampire lord sitting on my painting table right now. That's going to be added to this force.
Oh, well, you have 6 days, right? No,
yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, 6 days, and then then it's happening.
Yeah, but it's just one model, so 1 or 2 days to paint it.
So we also want to run through some of the top picks of 2022.
Yeah.
Starting off with Matthias.
Oh, these are super cool. It's so colorful. It's
yeah,
like,
I'm a sucker for Teensk. I love those colors so much.
Yeah.
And
I think many of the official paint schemes, they're for all of demons actually, I think they're a bit too conservative and not bland maybe, but not going all in and being a bit uniform. Like from Chaos and Demons especially, I think it works perfectly to have these super bright and colorful paint jobs and not being afraid to try different colors.
Yeah, they look like somebody had a lot of fun painting them.
But it works really well, but even if it's lots of colors, you can see that it's following roughly a color triad with what's it called, the primary colors with the teal and the magenta and yellows, and there are greens also, but you can see there's a bit of red, but not overwhelmingly much.
Yeah, and it
So I think
also contrasts well with the base again.
yeah, and you can see the bases here. They're, I was gonna say bland. That's a negative tone to it, but they are more muted. So
Yeah.
if you would imagine the bases would be like bright turquoise, then it would be a bit
Yeah,
much to the eyes.
they would also hide the models, and now it
Yes,
complements them.
exactly.
Yeah. And then next up we have this giant Necron force from Chaos.
Yeah, that's
And
super impressive
I
in size.
love these kind of sandstone type inspired Necrons.
Yeah, they're quite common, and I think it's interesting with these that it's a bit more colorful than you usually see Necrons. So I really like the blue tones here.
Yeah, 100%. And so many. Like, this is more than I did for my first march.
Yeah, but it's you can really crank out a lot of soldiers if you get into a good
Yeah, it
flow
also
of
helps
it.
having an airbrush. That's something I learned since my first march.
Yeah, that's just even if you just putting down the base coat, it's so
Yeah.
much easier to work from if you have the first color laid down.
Yeah, for sure. But also, you still, the sandy bases and then all the blues that are being picked up and the greens still
Yeah,
make for a really cool looking army, even from several feet away.
yeah, and it's I like the what's it called, the like the ones with the green yellow blades,
Mm-hmm.
like they're in the middle, because it's contrasting nice with the rest of the army.
Yeah,
Even if that yellowish green is used in lots of places, like that this unit has it much more predominantly,
yeah,
makes it look interesting and makes them give them this elite look.
yeah, for sure. And then last but not least is this colorful bunch by Michi.
Yeah, orcs look so fun to paint. It's I really like the bases here. It's bases are one of my favorite things to build. So I
Yeah, he
like when you
really
put
went to town.
lots of stuff on it.
He really went to town on adding static grass and tufts and rocks and more rocks. And then
Yeah,
the big thing in the back.
yeah. I don't. I'm not very well versed in the orc line or like the miniature line. But if I know Michi right, there might be a one or two conversions sneaked in here.
Oh yeah, he loves kids bashing, so that probably happened.
Yeah, it's that's a really also really fun, and it's so easy with orcs because everything sort of works, and you don't have to be like super neat when you smash things together.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think the only tip I would have when you're composing your army for your group shot, make sure there's a little bit of space in between the models.
Yeah, and it's like you mentioned before with the army by John that
Yeah,
if you group them by units, you will have this more force
yeah,
feel to it.
yeah. But this is a wonderful, colorful collage, so props to
Yeah, and
him.
it's kind of thematic for orcs to have,
Yeah,
just have them bunched up
definitely.
together.
Now, I said last but not least, but there's one more. Sneaky.
Yeah.
Now, I don't even know where to start. Mr. Beige is such a good painter, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's
just wow.
and so much time. It's I'm not sure if it's visible here in this picture, but it was so much time spent on each individual trooper,
Yeah,
and
and
not just on
the
the painting, but
stippling of all of the little details, the NMM. I don't know how he did it, and
yeah, and lots of small conversions. I don't
it,
remember how much conversions it was.
all
Maybe
of it.
small is underselling it.
Yeah. No, I
Like,
I don't think he's participating in our latest march because he has traumas of painting NMM night after night after night.
yeah, so it's not a large force in numbers, but it's I don't know how many hours was spent on this.
I mean, yeah, definitely the big tank and the what's that called? A plague drone, I think, completely
Yeah,
customized. I could easily spend a month on any one of these minis, but hammering all of these out in 4 months, crazy.
Yeah, I really like that he painted these mutant guys. What's it called?
Mm-hmm.
The plague something something. That he painted them yellow and different to the other troopers, because it would be very common to just paint them in some pale green color that's sort of matching the armor.
Yeah.
But that's since it's completely different unit type, it's a perfect opportunity to vary the colors a bit and make the force as a whole has higher contrast.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I like even though the bases sort of match in tone, their contrast value is so low compared to the contrast of the minis, they still pop.
Yeah,
So I think that's also very, very well done.
yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite armies.
Now we're gonna get closer to this year, but first we still have to get through last year. Now, this is what I call my disappointment of 2023.
No.
I was moving house, and it just all fell apart. I started packing in December. I got a couple models done, and then when I got back, when I'm finally moved, settled in, all my stuff had arrived, started unpacking. I managed to almost finish the second unit, but I never got around to the heroes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we'll get back to the moving theme on a later picture. But I think it's still impressive that you managed to crank out a big unit of, what's it called, Bestigors?
Yeah,
This elite beastmen.
yeah, bottom one is Bestigors, and then that's too far. And then I was working on the one letter difference Pestigors. Keep the theme in.
Yeah,
I did manage
and
to finish this unit after March for Armies ended, but these three, alas, are still unpainted on the shelf of shame.
yeah, so maybe stretch goals for this year's painting.
No, I'm gonna do something else entirely.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting that even if you think it's a big failure, it's still a big progress and it's adding lots of numbers
Yeah,
to
like we said,
the beastman force that you started.
every figure painted is a win, right? So I didn't lose. I just didn't achieve quite what I set out to do.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you also had a move, I think.
Yes, I was in moving. We moved into our new house in the early December, just when the event was starting. So it was I set a super small goal to just paint a start collecting box from Space Marines. But I got started late in January, I think. And I had planned some stretch goals, but in the end, this was just the original box that I was able to finish.
Well, that's still really good though, and they look great.
Yeah, and I've actually worked a bit more on them. After the event finished, I've added a dreadnought since and some Space Marine lieutenant. I guess that's what they all are called. And I also repainted all the red parts, so it's just all in brown and gray now.
Oh, okay. You didn't like it?
I thought you see the guys in the middle, what's it called, infiltrators?
Yeah.
Those have the brown helmets already. I like the look better of those, so I just made an experiment and painted the rest in brown also. So I'm not sure yet if I think it matches the theme better.
Yeah.
So sort of Space Wolf successors with an Odin theme.
Oh, that's cool.
They are supposed to have lots of bionic eyes and ravens. But so I thought the brown, a bit more muted force would suit that theme better.
Very cool.
I'm often going back to armies and just repainting stuff on them. So maybe they end up with red helmets in the future again.
We never know. On to our top picks. This one is from Griff.
Yeah, this is a bit of a Squidmore vibe to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love me some Gloomspite Gits, especially Squigs and Trolls. and this has all of it. It has
Yeah.
the funky colors, the chaos, the craziness. It's so good.
Yeah, and this, what's it called? The big giant jumping squigs in the back.
Yeah.
There's some Games Workshop name for it, but they work super well as a centerpiece here because it's just this
Mangler squigs is what I want to
Mangler squigs.
say.
Yeah, that's rings a bell. They work super well as a centerpiece to this avalanche of squids just rolling forward.
And all the basing work on this is exquisite as well. Like there's little extra mushrooms and moss, and it really gives a cavey, mushroomy feel to the whole thing.
Yeah, and I definitely want to paint some squigs. I did paint like early 6th edition, late 5th edition sometime. I painted some squigs for a friend.
So next year's March of Armies, we're both doing Gloomspite? Or are we both doing Tau? That's the question.
Yeah, lots of options. Maybe a mashup and Squig Tau army. Doesn't Tau have all these auxiliary units from different alien species?
Yes, they do.
So I think it's probably very... Is it lore accurate that they could have a Squig continent fighting for them?
Absolutely not, but you go for it, man.
Yeah, I'll set up some Kroot herders of some kind.
Great. Now this is just, for me, symbolized March of Armies 2023.
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite pick for March of Armies 2023.
Just kept on adding units. He started off with a reasonable force, and he just went, oh, I also bought this and painted it, and I also bought that and painted it, and properly as well. Just amazing.
Yeah, it's lots of different colors here, but if you look, like the entire force has this a bit of a blue tone to it, so I think it all blends together really, really nicely. And the bases are just bringing it all together in a perfect way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, really gives the jungle vibes and has all the different colors. Beautiful.
Yeah, this actually reminds me that I also want to paint a new Seraphon force, so maybe that's...
That's March of Armies 2030.
Yeah. Have the next decade ready for army IDs.
And then
more Necrons.
More Necrons, more Mr. Beige. He's crazy, basically, is my conclusion. Look at all the stippling and the details, the little cracks, the highlights, the NMM.
Yeah, this the weathering is so excellent on this, and it's just super cool.
The color composition of the bases versus the models, the skulls on the bases, just
So this force is much more muted than many of the other colorful ones that we looked at, but I think it's just works so well.
Yes,
and it's like this blue color; it's just pops everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Without being like vibrant, it pops, but it still feels grimdark.
Yeah, and not detracting from the feel of it.
Mm-hmm.
And also we have this again these different unit types with the small scarabs in the front and the warriors and this big three-legged, I forgot what it's called, big thingy on the back.
I play Necrons, I should know this, but I don't.
Cryptotech something.
Yeah, beautiful work. I'm secretly hoping that he will join March of Armies with like a really small force, like, I don't know, 2 groups of 5 dudes and a hero and one big thing, so that he has 1 month to do each of those, just so that we can bask in this kind of glory again. But I don't know.
Maybe we can bribe him into painting like a what's it called? Gargant army for Age of Sigmar? This giant force.
I don't know. Maybe we stand more chance with asking him to paint 3 knights. I'll see if I can bribe him with some smash or something.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
And then I thought this was really, really cool. This is by Vertash, and He's not an army painter player, but he loves board games, so he decided to paint up an entire board game as his March of Armies, which
Yeah,
I think it's just such a creative way of looking at March of Armies, and I really love that.
yeah. There's no, because it's an inspirational event for finishing a big force or big project of some kind. It doesn't need to be a wargaming army.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And it all still fits together, like the theming still really works.
yeah, but I think that's also important, because if you would just pick 20 random miniature that doesn't belong to each other and paint them as a project, that's also a big project. But when you put them out together for a big end of the event photograph, it wouldn't feel the same thing,
Yeah.
as if it's an actual unified force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is great. I love it.
Yeah.
And then I think we have finally reached 2024 this year. So
yes, now we're in the future.
we are in the future because it's not yet March. So one of the things we changed this year is that you can have different sizes as guidelines. I mean, you always could kind of pick what you wanted, but we've set out 3 different kind of tiers as guidelines. I'm going for the smallest tier. You seem to be going for a little bit more.
Yeah, I went straight for the largest here, but I actually, so this is of course a Kickstarter or a game found, different platform, same thing. So this is one of 2 boxes, big boxes, and I have some smaller ones also. So this was actually supposed to be delivered last year. I thought this would make great March of Armies thing, but of course it's a Kickstarter, so of course it's got delayed. But now I finally have it, and gonna start with just 1 box actually, so I'm trying to restrain myself. But this is going to be a pure speed painting project. I'm going to try to keep the minute count per model as low as possible. So it will be lots of airbrush work and lots of washes to do the heavy lifting for me.
And
And
I'm hoping
not
that you'll send me 1 mini from one of those other boxes that I can paint for you.
Yeah, there definitely it's enough minis for.
I've
for
seen
you.
the box floating around on the internet, and I kind of went, oh, I wouldn't mind painting one of those. See what the fuss is all about.
Yeah, so they're actually super detailed and with lots of these ornaments. So that's a bit of a problem. I need to figure out how to handle that, because for a speed painting project, it's not can't sit and pick out every armor trim. So, but I'm hoping I can solve it with washes.
So,
Or maybe this will end up a big failure. I have no idea.
Lasse always shouts at me that back in World War II, camouflage was a thing. You didn't pick out the trim on your tank. You didn't pick out the weapons, like the shovels and all the bits and bobs on your tank. They would be part of the camo.
Yeah.
So if you look at it like that, you could probably get away with it.
Yeah, just camouflage everything. That's a good idea. Try to be lazy on justify my laziness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this force actually goes against what I've been complimenting in lots of forces we've been looking at, because this is just infantry and infantry and infantry.
Yeah.
Some of them have 2 weapons and some have sword and some has a
couple
gun.
of bigger guys and some banners, but mostly.
Yeah, so if I do finish this and continue to build on it, it would definitely need some bigger guys and some tanks or something to break up.
Yeah, it needs like a big centerpiece and
Yeah.
some medium centerpieces as well. Some ogres or a tank.
Yeah, but this will be the starting point of it.
So I decided to go back to your original plan. And I am actually doing the start collecting box for the Slaves to Darkness.
Yay!
So I have the Lord on Karkadrak, the 10 warriors, the 5 knights, and then as stretch goals I have 5 Old Hammer Marauder horsemen, the old champion of Nurgle.
The original Plague Rider, Plague Lord. It's on the horse, right?
Yeah, the original one on horse with the scythe in metal.
Yeah,
with the little.
You've seen the re-release.
Yeah. So I really want to buy that, but I've decided I'm not allowed to until I paint this boy. So
Yeah.
that's why he's in the march as well.
Yeah.
And then I put in one other old hammer hero on the side there. So
Yeah.
the main goal is to get the all of the start collecting box painted, and then the stretch goal is the extras. I'm going for a slightly higher end theme this time, so I will not be using contrast paints or washes to do my heavy lifting. I will actually be painting by hand.
Yeah.
So that'll be scary and interesting for me as an army painter.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a time plan to follow?
Yeah, so I was planning to, if I count the knights as 2 miniatures, right? Because you have the horse and the rider.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that I can finish 2 miniatures every week. So that would leave me 1.5 months or 2.5 months. I would have finished all the warriors and all the knights, and then I still have 1.5 months to get the big dude done. That should be more than enough time, and then start working on the stretch goals.
Yeah. That's sounds reasonable.
And
So I
then
think
maybe a
doing
little
this
bit
like
more in December, around Christmas, maybe a little bit
yeah.
less when, it gets busy in life, but that's kind of the
Yeah.
plan.
No, lots of vacation, so lots of painting time. Yeah, but I think it's really good to make these rough estimates on like figuring out how much you can reasonably finish in 1 week, and also keep it reasonable because of course 1 week you can crank out 1 or 2 units if you're really forcing yourself. But
Yeah, but
this event is going for 4 months, so you need to find a pace that works for you.
yeah, you need to find a pace that, and also you don't want to burn out after those 4 months. So it's
Yeah,
not, it's a marathon more like than a sprint. And
yeah, definitely.
I think this will be comfortable to get the models up to a standard that I like, and uh, still have the challenge be enjoyable to me. I also plan to switch it out, so I'll do 2 warriors the 1 week, and then I'll do a knight and a horse the next week to keep that mix and matching going.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
really
do
excited
you
about that.
intend to paint strictly 2 models at a time, or will you do a sort of batch painting also?
I might get the airbrush out for the base color, because they're gonna be based in dark sea blue, and then gonna get some recess shading in a dark purple and the highlights in the teal. Uh, so I might have the airbrush do the heavy lifting, although I like to keep all my metallics black. So if I get the airbrush out to do everything in dark sea blue, I then have to go back with black to paint certain
Yeah,
bits again. And I want to do some sort of orange yellowy thing on the cloaks. So I probably do everything by brush.
yeah. I think the cloaks might be a good because those are mostly sprayed from behind, so that could be a good just do those base coats by airbrush just to speed things up.
Yeah, maybe.
But
I got some tips from Mr. Jenkins on how he painted my banner that I kind of want to be a centerpiece for the army at the end. I commissioned him after the Squidmore video where he painted on the Warlord Titan.
yeah,
Because I'm not good at freehand, and he freehanded the shit out of that thing. It was
yeah,
amazing.
so
Uh,
good.
so I kind of want to do the cloaks in a similar color, so I'm going to have to experiment with the colors that he used to kind of recreate it.
Yeah. So I have one batch, sort of a mix between batch painting and single miniature painting that I do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of working on an entire batch, then you do like one color for the batch. For example, you paint all the cloaks
Mm-hmm.
in one batch, but then you pick out one miniature and finish that one completely. And then you go, so now if it's 5, then you have 4 remaining. And then for all of these 4s, then you paint all of their weapons. And then you
Oh,
pick out one and do that one completely.
yeah,
Because
that's kind of
that means
cool.
that it's sort of, you get these quick rewards because you're finishing finishing miniatures.
Yeah.
But it goes quicker and quicker to finish them because you have more and more base colors laid down already.
Yeah, well, the other thing that I like to do is I'll batch paint a certain set of colors and then to go one by one for the rest. So I'll do all of the armor, like if it's dry brushing lots of metallics, I'll do all of the metallics in one go, and then I'll start picking out the colors one by one for all the belts and finish a whole model that way.
But I think a good idea in general is just to experiment and try different things and find what works for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes one approach is the faster one, but it might not be the one that's more mentally rewarding. So even if you a slower approach, that might be better suited for you.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm really looking forward to seeing this force painted by the end of March.
I'm really looking forward to what everybody's planning to do, because there are some wicked cool entries in the March of Armies channel already on the Discord.
Yeah,
I was browsing through there, and there's some really cool Gloomspite Gits plans with lots of squigs. Some Tau, some Necrons.
Yeah, and even if the army list doesn't ring a bell to you, like once you start seeing people doing their conversions and submitting their color schemes, it's always so interesting to see what people come up with.
Even somebody took a picture of a pile of sprues and said, "This is my army," and I just went, "Oh yeah, look at that beautiful pile of plastic." Excellent.
Yeah, I know that feeling, and I really like when you have this all the boxes in plastic or just arrayed, that you have both the army and you have them in boxes and just a photo of this. It feels like Christmas.
Yeah, we need one of the Cities of Sigmar's players to sign up to this, because we're definitely missing some representation on that new army.
Yeah, that's so cool army. No more armies now, Dennis. Yeah.
Well, so this is basically a shout out to everybody to join us for March of Armies. We love to see your work. If you have any questions, DM us, ask away in the channel.
Yes, it's if you've done it before, welcome back, and if it's your first time, it's just it's super awesome to paint an army, and the feeling once you're done, it's so worth the effort. So welcome aboard. And
the biggest thing for March of Armies is keep on sharing. We do a roll call every 2 weeks where we want everybody to check in. Even if you haven't done anything, just check in and say, "Hey, it's been busy, haven't done anything." And that's okay, life happens, but at least we know that you're still around, and then everybody can go get on the saddle, we can do it. What are you painting this week? And that, at least for me, gives me a ton of motivation to get back on track.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
Get back on track.
For sure.
And with that as closing words, I think, what should I say? Happy painting.
See you in March? No, wait. See you every 2 weeks till March.
Yeah. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.